start right here. All right. Any pain points, any topics that you've been hanging up on, that we can help you with while we wait for the rest of the class? Is there anything like in particular you've been snagging on?
Um, okay, so you guys are ahead a little bit more than where I'm at in Colombia because I just finished the on-ramp course with them, and then I'll be doing the AI engineering principles course, but that doesn't start till the 8th. So, as you know, I don't really know Python that well, but I'm learning. So I was getting hung up a little bit on the dictionary, like doing the files in dictionary. I mean, I finished the course and I did really good, but I still am struggling a little bit with that because I still don't really fully know it. So I think it's just gonna be just keep doing it, Um, because I'm just practicing. But yeah, it's a little foreign still.
Okay, so I can you specify like which assignment you are exactly like working on?
Okay, let me
Like in the
Maybe that.
CPD,
where was the one I was?
right now we were talking about this one. I just dropped in the chat, but if you want to go to a different week in this one, just let us know. Hello, Tiffany. Funny.
Yeah, okay, so understanding HTTP requests and stuff, that's the same, Eric, as like that's not the same as what I did at Code the Dream, right? This is different because it's the back end.
Oh, you mean when you were doing the intro to the JavaScript?
Yeah.
A little bit
So like
different.
fetching and all of that and doing get and post, that's different because it's Python, or it's the same thing, right?
Very similar.
Okay.
So a HTTP request is going to be pretty much universal. It's the syntax and how you write what you're doing in each language that's going to differ. So that's why you're going to see a lot of commonalities in the different C languages that you're using. So when you learn these fundamentals in JavaScript or Python or Rust, and then move on to another one like PHP or something, you're going to see that under the hood it works very similar.
Okay.
You want to add to that, Rita?
No, I think yeah, you already covered. So yeah, the syntax is little different, but more or less it's same. Yeah.
Okay, I feel pretty good with that. Because I just graduated from Code the Dream, the intro, and we did the API calling, and I had to do the portfolio. So yeah, I'm pretty confident with this stuff through Java. So as long as I can get an understanding of the syntax, which I'm learning pretty well, I guess, on the Python. But yeah, I mean, doing like the variables, all the looping, the else if stuff like that. Yeah, it was helpful to do a refresher course and doing the intro and then going into Python like that and learning through the on-ramp that I just completed through Columbia, just through code. So it's just the syntax, the writing it out. I Eric's already taught me how to make sure to pseudocode everything. So I'm really good at that. It's just sometimes piecing it together, and I kind of try to make it a little bit more complicated than it usually needs to be. So I get hung up a little bit on how to fully write it out. But um, it's just gonna have to be just practice.
Yeah.
Exactly. Oh,
Yeah, but I really like Python. It's really readable and it makes sense. It does make sense. So I like that I moved from JavaScript to Python because definitely is to be able to learn the backend language, to move into Python was a really good idea of Eric's for me to do that because it made it a really good transition. Since I just got done learning Python, I mean, JavaScript, that it was an easy flow to move into it and understand it. So, hopefully I do well in this next course.
right. So that doesn't really clarify where we want to take you in this course. Um, how about we just jump in? How about, well, let's see, Bunny, do you have any spots to add to what Mia had to say about like what's confusing you or
I'm actually just here because I know that it's required. I'm almost I'm actually on the data visualization
okay, all
already,
right,
and I've done it before. So
nice.
I yeah, I'm just hanging out here right now because my toddler's actually entertaining herself.
Oh, that's good. All right. Well, welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hello, Miriam. Good to see you. That reminds me, I'm going to take attendance, so you guys do get credit for this. And while I'm doing that, take it away, Rita. I get,
Actually,
go ahead.
sorry, I do have a quick question. Oh,
Mhm.
sorry. When we turn in our assignments and we're supposed to put a one-on-one mentor, or not a one-on-one mentor, but a mentor like one that we make it to, if I'm turning in an assignment that isn't for that particular week, do I still put that that meeting I went to, or just leave it blank? Because it's not required.
That's a good question. Mia, I remember you in the last cohort were a little ahead sometimes. Like, what did you do when you were turning in assignments that were ahead of the cohort? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Sorry, Bunny, I just made sure because I just did the intro to programming and finished that with Code the Dream and now I'm over at Justice Through Code. So I just made sure because I was ahead of the course that I just every week I just made sure that I made it asks when it asks you for the one-on-one and for the group session that I always filled that out and then in notes I would put, oh, I attended on this date a group or a one-on-one with so and so if it was extra too. But as long as you just have your weekly when you turn in your assignments, and you just have that filled out, as long as you have those filled out, you're fine. If you want to put extra, you can put extra. But
Uh,
Oh,
is
super.
that answering your question or no?
No, what we were asking is, so since she's ahead and she's not actually meeting with
Oh,
someone,
so you're not meeting with any mentor?
no,
Okay, so that's fine. Just put who's your mentor?
like my
The one
reviewer.
that was assigned to you.
Yeah.
It's
Uh,
okay if you don't know.
the
Just put
the
every week, just put that you met with that person. And are you communicating with that mentor at all? Like, do you email them
some
or
somewhat, but like
okay?
I guess my question was, so when you were ahead and then
Hmm.
you did the group meetings, but the group meetings didn't match up with that particular assignment. Did
Doesn't
you,
matter. It's
so
fine.
you just put whatever group meeting you went to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's it. They're not, yeah, as long as you're attending one. And if you're not meeting with your mentor one-on-one, it's not, and you guys have an arrangement or you're ahead or you're really advanced and As long as you're communicating with your mentor and they know like, hey, you're ahead and you're doing fine and you don't need assistance, you still just put that you did a one-on-one with them. That's
Okay, hold on, my big.
Right, no problem. All right, so Rita, I guess you could follow with what you're thinking,
Yeah,
whichever week you want to jump into. Seems like we've got students from week 5 to week 11. So wherever you want to just jump in and see where we could help them, see what kind of
yeah.
questions pop up.
Maybe before I start, how about Marim? I just wanted to understand like where you are, like how you are progressing. Do you have any blockers, anything to highlight? Marim, you're on mute. Okay, I think I can jump ahead into some of the refresher what we talked about with pandas, and I believe there are bunch of assignment you have been already attending where you might have used pandas. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. So, oops, minimize. All right. Is it visible?
You might want to make it a little bigger. Yeah.
Bigger, bigger, bigger. Do you know how to make it bigger?
Yeah, you're on Windows, right? Should
Yeah.
be Control plus
This is Mac. Let me see.
Command then, I think.
Yeah,
There you go.
Command.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, this is just a quick refresher. We talked about like how to create a pandas series and the difference between a pandas data frame versus a series. And um, just to like, you know, show you how it looks when it's series, it's kind of look like a one-dimensional array. And then when you talk about data frame, it's mostly about like, multiple row and columns of data. And let me just quickly run it. So this looks like this, where it's a series, mostly one-dimensional. And this is how the data frame looks like with a row and column format. And then we also talked about the few pandas functions that we can utilize to find a particular locations, or in iloc is mostly talk about the indexed location. And then this is kind of like at, where you can mention what exactly you're looking for. IAT is also something similar. It's a fast index. Based on the index we can access. And then there are some example about how to filter. Like we can filter by age, for example, and with the conditional statement. In our case, it's greater than 30. And also we can build a query. So this is probably we didn't cover earlier, but this is another option. And it's more similar as let's say the SQL type of statement that we will be getting into in upcoming courses. So if you look at this, syntax, it says df dot query, and df is nothing but the data frame that I already loaded here. And then if you use the query function, you can provide the exact query that you're looking for. So for example, in my case, I wanted to check the age is greater than 30 and people who are part of New York City. So in our data set, let's say we have two entries with New York City, and but only Charlie has age greater than 30. So this is how we can filter out the data. And
I think
also there is something.
Mia's got a question there, Rita.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was just wondering, so how does how are you getting at the data with using the the
Okay,
built-in function
this one. So
Yeah.
this is actually, if you look at the details, it says getting a value and the level, it's looking for the level, particular level. So let's say city, we have NY, LA, and another NY in Chicago, and it's looking at second index,
Oh,
second, second location, you can say, okay, based
okay.
on the, no,
So is the two indexed to or positioned to because there's two differences, right? You can look for the index or the actual key or position. So what does the two stand for?
okay,
Is
so let
that
me run
is that the key or is that the position or the
position.
index?
This is the position too. And when you talk about index, it's looking for the index. So let's consider this is your array, and you see these numbers at the
Uh-huh.
leftmost corner. These are index,
Okay.
and this is like default index set to Pandas can set this up. So everything starts from zero and then
hmm
followed by the number gradually. So
So
let's say
when using the two is the two index, so it's Charlie 35 New York 70,000
Uh, no, so two is looking at
at
the,
Bob.
yeah,
Oh, okay.
okay. And then on the other hand, if you look at the, I add, it's looking at the index. So we mentioned 3, 1, which
Okay.
is, um, what is my
Would be
calculator?
index one, two, it would be Charlie.
Yeah, 3 is like your index, and in our case, 0 is name, 1 is age, and 2 is city, 3 is salary. That's how you're looking at the second number in your list in IAD.
Okay, so wait, I'm confused real quick. So the
So the
three,
first position, hold on. So the first position that he's showing you on in this one for that data frame, the three is the column. The second position is the row. So it's like the battleship analogy. Like you're going to go to three, and then you're going to go to one. And this position is going to be what you're targeting. That's why it's at that position. Does that make
okay.
sense? Because
Okay.
you're giving it 2 points in space. So you have this point, and then you have this point
Okay, so the three is going down to the index three, and then you're going over one,
on the row.
which is name. Okay, got it.
One is age. So
Oh,
name is going to be
eight,
considered as zero.
zero,
Yeah.
one. Got
Zero,
it.
1, 2, 3. You are going over the row.
Okay, got it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. And the main advantage between this LOC, I mean lock and add, is add is quite faster. It's just to access it faster. That's why the add is useful. Okay, moving along. Um, okay, so yeah, this is what I was talking about. You can also utilize a lot of options are there. Like one of them is start with. So it will look for the particular string in your column which starts with some character, for example, right? It starts with A. So it will look for the name column and look for it will like show you all the data that starts with A. So yeah, there are several options. I just wanted to highlight here. And then we probably covered about data aggregation. This example, let's say we're trying to find the mean of salary. Okay, and that can be done by group by. So we are trying to do a group by between city, all the cities, whatever the salary, we need to find out the mean value. This is how the syntax looks like, df dot group by followed by um, the syntax. And same thing for multiple aggregation, you can keep adding like dot agg. It's kind of like short of aggregation, and then let's say you wanted to find sum or mean count, you can keep adding all the aggregation that you want. Let me run it quick. So this is how it looks like. Okay, and then let's talk about how to let's say you wanted to add a new column in your data frame. So you already have one data frame that we displayed here. This is your data frame. And let's say you wanted to add another column here based on some logic. Let's say you wanted to add the bonus amount for, based on the salary. And that's something you can add like df with the column name. And this would be a new column name where you can define what data you wanted to populate there. All right, and also we can update. This is a data frame where we can even update the existing data. Okay, and this is how we can delete df.drop. It will drop the entire column. And okay, this is a different option to add a new column like age category we're adding, but instead of just simple calculation, we just let's say we can add a map function where we can pass along the function. I think we talked about map earlier, where we can add the lambda function. This will basically calculate the overall like age category, whatever logics you have. All right. And then we can also use numpy function. It's kind of similar, like we can create the column with whatever function or whatever logic we wanted to implement. Okay, so this will look like this. It will just create a new, it will just add into the existing data frame. Or we can even create a new data frame and store it there. All right, so the column will keep adding on based on your logic. And then there are some utility method, like for example, we wanted to change the name of the column. Right? There is an option for rename where we can just, let's say we wanted to rename the column name to employee name. So this is how we should do it. Okay. And then short value. This is another function where we can short the data frame with, let's say, ascending order. And there we can use short underscore values. There is another inbuilt function in Pandas. I just wanted to like show you few of the options, but again, you can explore more on detail about like all the Pandas function available. All right, so now let's talk about merge. And this is more of a like merging and joining. So let's say we have two data frame, and that can be used for creating a new data frame where we wanted to uh, s- we can merge it in a different way. So one option is inner join. Inner join is talking about, and this is again, it's quite similar as the SQL. When you will come across the SQL different, joining, you can explore this more on how to join different way. But the inner join is basically giving you the intersection of two sets of data. So let's say, for example, I have df1 and df2. It will give you the common element between these two. That is the intersection of those two sets. Okay. Similarly, outer join, and left join. So let me show you a diagram. This will probably help you to understand. So let's say, for example, this blue circle is our DF1, where I have this set of data. And then the orange circle is DF2, where we have a different set of data. And when I say intersection, the inner join will give you the common element, right? The intersection part of it. And when you say left join will give you the blue part of it, okay, excluding the intersection part. And same thing when we say right join, we will only get the right hand side, uh, like right orange part of the data. Okay. And okay, right, left, outer. That's most of it. So yeah, just try this out and maybe you can, look at the data and try to see how it looks. But this kind of visualization can help you to understand how the joining would work in different cases. All right. Any question so far? Okay. And then this one is more of a like how we can visualize. One of the option is to use Matplotlib, where you can, let's say, set the title and level and kind of like visualize the overall data. And we can set all the parameters, like what would be the X value and Y value along with the title. And okay, I added the grid. So the plot shows like this. This is one of the option to visualize the data that you have. And I have few more examples with Seaborn. So there is a scattered plot, bar plot. There are many options that we can go with and to visualize the data differently. So this is kind of a like scattered plot. This is an example of bar plot. And this is probably something else. This is more of a like the block plot, and let me show you something more. I have more examples on how to design the sine wave, cosine wave, or tangent. So this is again based on the math plot leaf. We have all the options that we can play around and utilize wherever we need. Okay. Let me get into little more on the week 7. So this is talking about how we can clean up the data. So I think we a little bit covered earlier, but the main purpose of cleaning up the data is to make it usable for your transformation. So when you have a data set, you probably would use this data for some of the transformation in your logic. And the first step is to make sure the data is clean so that you can, apply all the transformation that you need. And there are two major function that we usually use. One is drop NA, which is basically dropping the non-values. And also we can fill the data with some, let's say, constant number, fixed data that we need. So for example, this example, right, we have, let's say, non-value here, right? So the first drop NA, what is going to do, it will remove the data wherever it's a none, any missing value which is not useful or not, you may not able to, may not be useful for your transformation. And this fill NA, what is going to do, wherever it will see, let's say in A column, if it says something is missing, it's going to replace with 0. And also you can maybe replace with something else. In my case, let's say I mentioned missing. Okay, so if you Just try to run it. This looks like this. You see, in the A column, it's replaced the non-value with 0. And the B column, wherever it's found the data is missing, I mentioned to update it as a, fill it as a missing. So this is how typically the cleaning is done for the entire data set before even you feed the data into transformation. Okay. So hope you are familiar, or did you face any issue use this drop or fill?
I have a question, Rhythm. And then at the end, do you use df drop as your updated data frame, or you use df fill?
I'm sorry. Can you come again? I probably missed it.
I'm sorry, it's so noisy here. So you did df drop, and then it says as a different data frame, and then it's different from df fill, right? And
Yeah.
at the end, which one do you use further? Which data
Okay.
frame?
Okay, I got it. So you see, this is the original data frame. Okay. And we call it raw data. So let's say in typical data engineering stuffs, you have a raw ingestion layer where you are getting the raw data, and then we do cleaned data. Okay. And then you feed into the analysis or maybe transformation, right? So the typical practice is to keep the raw data as it is, because in case, let's say you wanted to, um, so let me just give a, let's say df raw is your raw, and then you created a df cleaned, which is a cleaned data frame in a new data frame. So this is a new data frame. And finally, you use this into transformation, or, you feed the same thing into transformation. And the reason is you wanted to keep the raw data as it is, because in case, let's say you wanted to go back uh, to the raw data and wanted to investigate what exactly you did part of your cleanup. That's why all these extra data frame would be useful, right? So let's say your transformation is failing for some reason, and it could be a data issue. that's that's the whole purpose of keeping a separate variable or separate data frame created and store the clean data into a different data frame.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, so quickly move along. And then, yeah, these are all some examples where I covered the convert. So convert is like mostly where you wanted to, specify that this is not a string. You wanted to keep it as, specific to numeric, because you might have some, addition, subtraction, or some other mathematical calculation on top of it. You wanted to, convert the data type into a numeric so that you can apply those logic. So these are the handy functions where you can either you can apply and change the data type so that it would be useful for your transformation. Same thing for date. So date has a lot of option to apply different type of functions based on the date timestamp, and it's a good practice to change this multiple format. If you see, like, there are so many different type of formatted date, it's a good practice to um, convert into a datetime object format. And this is another Python object format which can be useful for your further calculations. So if you see here, I have extracted year, month from this TF date. And why I'm able to use this dt.year? Because I converted into datetime format. So these functions are, yeah, quite useful. And then yeah, let's talk about regular expression. And before I get in there, I was trying to pull up something here in Copilot. So regular expression may get a little confusing sometimes, but we first need to understand like these patterns. This will probably give you a good start to understand what are the meaning of each type of character or pattern. Then you can easily map it to this overall regular expression that you were talking about. So for example, /D is specifying the digit, capital D is non-digit, W is looking for, the pattern is word character, capital is something else, and then /S is looking for the white space, dot is defining any character, expect new line. So you can just go through the list just to understand what are the meaning of this pattern. And then when you need to, let's say, you wanted to verify whether this email address is in a proper format or it's, this is a valid uh, email address or not. So this is where the regular expression comes into play to verify whether the username or maybe extract the username from email or validate the overall email. Okay. So yeah, this is typical syntax, and you can, just go through the list. You can just search in Copilot about like what are the regular expression pattern in Python. You should able to find some list of pattern with the meaning, and then you can correlate what you're gonna write. So in this example, for example, we're trying to extract the username from here, right? And which is before @ and plus, as I said, it's talking about um, one or more. So that means it will look for one. Okay, hold on. So okay, there's bracket and all. So yeah, I think you can go over. So this is basically looking for the entire area that you wanted to check, and then finally this entire um, regular expression can it can be used to extract the username from here. So yeah, let's go through it, and then if you get confused, maybe we can get into more details. What else I wanted to check here is, okay. So this is about removing duplicates. So we talked about how to remove the none, and we also have function called drop duplicates, which is going to check the entire column and is going to remove the duplicates. Right? It's pretty straightforward. Okay. What else? Yeah, this is probably mostly it. Anything, any specific question about pandas, maybe part of data frame or something that you are struggling with? Okay, so I'll probably stop here, and Hunter, if you want to take us to the API a little bit.
Yeah, I think with time, I'm just going to kind of recap with the why of what you went through, because I know we covered a lot of stuff. And I remember my first couple of times through it, it was like, what is all of this? And Reedham brought up some really good gems there that will help you. And I think when we go through a little couple of examples over here with visualization, I think you'll see why it's important. He was showing you. So we'll just spend a little bit more time on this, not to bore anybody to death with the data visualization. But so now that we know how to organize the data, how do we make it readable? You know, like we were looking at a lot of the output that Rita was doing there, and you could see how we know what it is, but what if you're presenting this to a non-technical person? How are they going to know the difference between columns and such and so forth? So a good way to do that is with the various tools that I was talking about last week, and I will make this bigger myself so you guys can see this a little bit better. Help it out of the way because he's not helping anyways. And so we're going to go over a little bit about designing, right? So we showed you some of the tools, NumPy, Matplotlib, covered Seaborn a little bit, Pandas. These are all different tools in your toolbox for manipulating large batches of data like spreadsheets, databases, huge CSV files, especially when you start getting farther into the training data when you're working with, like, say, a weather application, and you have all the weather from multiple little recording sessions from around the world. Not every one of those is built the same, and not every one of them is going to give you data the same. Some of them will have gaps, and some of them will have missing data. So a good way to know what's going on with that is to be able to visualize it in a way for the humans to read it. So today I'm going to show you just a little bit of ways of like you can pretty things up. So we're going to choose some chart types. I'm going to show you like a little way to do like graceful fallbacks with some of the libraries and client labeling, titles, style conventions. And so this is where you get to get a little creative with your data. So we'll start with going back to the beginning. You know, we're gonna import our required libraries. So you'll see in this import statement, I do have this large import, Matplotlib with pyplot, right? I'm not going to want to rewrite that every time I'm calling that. So we're going to give it an alias, PLT. So earlier you saw that Readum did the same thing with data frames, DF. He did it with NumPy with the MP. You know, so these are just simple little tricks so that when you're referring to this, you just have to do PLT dot whatever you're going to put to it instead of having to write out all of this every time you want to put a tool on the end of that. So then you see I've got a little try and accept block. So it's going to try to import it. And as long as it imports it correctly and gives me the version here, it's going to print everything out ready to go. Otherwise, it's going to give me, you know, a little warning, let me know that my Matplotlib's not going to work when a couple of people are watching me on my feed. Same with NumPy. So again, we have the NumPy alias, we have the try and the accept. And then when we run it, okay, so we installed that already, but all right. So we can see Matplotlib is not available. So we're going to use the text-based fallbacks. NumPy imported successfully, so we know that the NumPy is working. So look up here, make sure I don't have an import hiding somewhere. It doesn't look like it. We just need to hit install. Matplotlib. See what we got there. And so thanks to that try and accept block, now I see that this virtual environment didn't have Matplotlib installed. So had I not had that try and accept block, I would have continued on with the lesson, unaware that half of my lesson isn't going to work. So once this gets done, successfully installed, now we can rerun the cell. And you can see Matplotlib is imported successfully. We have the version number, and we're ready to go for the group activity. So this is a good example of why you guys are using what's called graceful fallbacks or try and accept blocks. All right, so first thing we'll do a little bar chart. So bar charts can be vertical or horizontal. You know, we're going to do this basic point. We have our data right here. We have cats 4, dogs 6, you know, yada, yada, yada. So we're going to import Matplotlib as pyplot as PLT, right? And this is where you see that this is why we wanted to shorten it, because now we have the alias here, so that when we do the bar, the data values, the titles, which are where we're going to start adding the X and Y labels, the type and the count. And then right here, this is going to actually show it. So now we're going to see how it looks. Now, all that data, instead of just being that black and white little graphic that we've been working with while we we're learning the fundamentals, is something you can actually present and talk to people about. This is kind of bland. It's not very striking, but you can clearly see 4 cats, 6 dogs, 2 birds, etc. And you know that this is the count, this is the type, and this graph represents pets. You know? Nothing too fancy, but it works. So you can improve the bar chart for, time tonight. We'll just do a couple of examples in here. Like you can add colors, you can add extra categories, you can enumerate values. So in here, when you guys want to work on this, if you want to work on something like this on your own, you can take a bar chart and do some different implementations, like you want to make sure the labels are clear, like depending on where you put them, you see how these are kind of right over each other. Perhaps you want to use some of your CSS and HTML knowledge and remember to put like some kind of a break or a division there so that these have a little bit better padding margin. So let's take a look here. And we will uncomment the string literal. Now you see we've added our colors. We've added some categories with data keys. We've added some values with data values. And then again, going to import like we did before, but then we're going to start doing with the figure, the axis, the bars, the axis of the bars, the value of the bars, the axis text. And I don't expect you guys to remember what all of these do. Like you'll probably read them 1,000 times before you know that X label, Y label means what they mean. That's why we have documentation. It's not a memorization kind of skill. I wouldn't expect any normal human being to learn all of that. So now we see we have happy pause shelter, right? We also have our accept block working, so we can see that we have a glyph that didn't work. We have a font that didn't work. So depending on what you're doing, not always will you have a compatible font. So it's good to know that that's not working. But this does look a lot more readable, right? We now know that this current pet inventory is actually for a shelter, and the shelter has this many cats, this many dogs, this many birds. It's easier to follow the lines because the lines go all the way across so that you don't lose it with your eye and you're trying to catch where this bar actually ends. So now we can look at some line charts. So it brings us back to the weather station. You will see in your studies in these boot camps, weather apps, weather stations, weather reports, weather. And it's because that's an easy way to get a large amount of free data for you guys to work with, especially working with different API calls. And when you get to that here in a little bit, like when we're talking about the open weather API, stuff like that, I'll show you how to call and fetch that data so that you can actually work with live data. So we're going to start with line chart instead of the bar chart to highlight the maximum value. So we got our days, we have our temps. Again, we have a try. Once we have the Matplotlib working, we're going to plot it out. Otherwise, we're just going to print the temps as a fallback. Okay. So in here, we can see a squiggly line. It's very informative. That's what I would say sarcastically, because it is not. So this is why we're going to go to the task to improve the line chart. These line charts are great if you use them correctly. So here we can use days as the X values. Okay. You can show the maximum. So we'll have the maximum of the temperature index. We'll have the maximum days. And then we'll have some annotations. And this will clean it up a little bit. So in the little workspace that I made for you guys, you can play around with this, add what you want to add to it. And then uncomment my solution. Take a look at it. I know we're getting close to time, but I just want to show you a couple of examples to kind of reinforce those good points that Rita went over with you guys. So let's run the professional line chart. Again, maybe don't use Deja Vu Sans. Apparently, Jupyter Notebooks does not like it. So as you can see, this gives us a lot more at first glance. Now, instead of just a squiggly line, we see the temperatures. We have the low temperature on a Wednesday, it was 69 degrees, and then we have the high temperature, 78 on a Saturday, right? And we have the little lines to help us kind of coordinate where it's at. Hold on, words for the app earlier. We got that. I'm glad to see that my dad jokes still aren't landing, but that's all right. We still got what, another like 30 weeks together. It's all right. We got this. It'll grow on you. But yeah, you can see here, much more readable, right? Then this is one that you're probably going to use a lot. When I'm doing any kind of like data analytics, histograms tend to be what I work with the most. So I know we haven't really covered over those very much. So I want you to at least know what they look like. And the commands are pretty much the same. You know, over here, you're defining that it's going to be a histogram by hist, right? So if you look up here, we defined somewhere in here, subplots and all of that. There you go, plot. So the different ones is going to kind of define what you're building with. So then again, you'll have similar ones too. You have your title, and show is going to be common across all of them, because if you don't initialize it with show, you're never going to actually see your chart. So at first glance, kind of looks like a bar chart, right? Except for it looks like a bar chart that kind of just spit on the page. Got no definition. Everything's just kind of run together. We know it's a scores, but is it 8 football goals? Is it 8 headshots in Overwatch or whatever it is they're playing now? Is it 8 moves in chess? We don't know. 70 people watched it. The game went for 70 minutes. Not really sure. So another activity here, let you guys improve the histogram. But I can show you the improved one right here. Go ahead and give it a little run. And look at that. Now that is not so bad, right? Now we know that the score was for an exam, period 3. And we know it was a number of students. And we know that the exam score mostly fell into the C range. So must have been a review of one of my exams. So it looks like the instructor needs to go a little bit more in clarification, because these students are falling short of grasping on the materials. This is a chart that you could use to clearly say what you want to say to whoever you're trying to explain this large chunk of data that they had you painstakingly clean and validate, organize. And then when you get it all put together and you have it in a nice, beautiful JSON or CSV file, you realize that they don't know what any of that is. So then you can throw it into something where they can actually see your work, see what you did, and appreciate the organization that you put into the data. You know, more challenges for you guys to go over. I don't expect you to jump into it right away because you will probably do these lessons for quite a while. There's a lot to learn. Like Rita just pointed out, you could spend weeks on pandas, weeks on NumPy. We haven't even really brushed across Seaborn that much. There's Matplotlib, there's Scikit. Go ahead, Rita. Oh, I see you come off mute. But
Yeah, no, nothing. Sorry.
yeah. So just the analogy of taking a drink of water from the fire hose still in effect, but it's the exposure that we're trying to give you guys so that as you do the repetition and you use more of these, you're going to see commonalities, like Mia was pointing out at the beginning of the class, of how JavaScript and Python have a lot of similarities. And as you put those similarities together and make more and more connections, the newer things will be less and less overwhelming. Right. Feel free to hit me with any questions. I'll leave the last couple minutes to y'all.
Yeah, so as Hunter said, like this data visualization is quite a very important part of data analysis, or anything as such. Wherever you have a data, maybe you wanted to analyze in a different way, and the visualization comes into play, where it definitely have to show as a graph or any sorts of visualization. That's kind of end result report that we call it. So that's where these things are comes very handy in Python.
You're right. And that's one of the good things about Python is you have a library for just about everything. So instead of having to sit there and figure out how you would put this together with either jQuery or vanilla JavaScript to get it rendering onto your page properly, since you're working all on the back end with Python, it's going to work a lot faster. And you're already going to have the library. You're already going to have the math library. You're already going to have the starting functions that you need with Matplotlib or Scikit or whatever one you're working with, so that you can really just focus on getting the data cleaned and validated and organized so that you can present it. Well, there's no further questions, I guess. Check the chat here. I will give you guys your weekend back, and it's good to see everybody. I hope you all had a great holiday break. We're kind of all over the place. Next week we should have everything a little more organized with where the cohort is. So feel free to DM us if you have any questions or concerns. So we'll see y'all next week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, man.
Thanks.